First up, he is the U.S. Representative for California's 28th Congressional District and Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. We're hoping he will save us all. Adam Schiff, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Schiff, how are you? Welcome home. Great to have you here. Okay. Adam, I know why you like to do our show. You get to sleep in your own bed.
That is true.
Okay.
That is true.
So you put out an open letter today. I read it. Interesting stuff. And it's funny because I was going to ask you about this because I assume you do talk to Republicans after hours. Now, I know when Obama was president, they complained he didn't socialize enough with them. Do you socialize with them? Do you talk over drinks privately?
We do socialize, and certainly there are a lot of private conversations where they will express their deep fears, misgivings about this president, about his lack of ethics, about his basic lack of decency.
So you're saying in this letter you want them now to do that publicly. What you're saying over martinis, you want to hear publicly.
You know, people will stop me in the corridor, Republicans, and say, keep doing what you're doing.
Really?
You know, even senior Republicans, which of course would be heresy for them to say publicly, I don't need private confidences, misgivings anymore. We need public statements. We need people to take a stand. We need people to vote their conscience. You know, the president now has declared this unconstitutional emergency. I mean, it's hard to make a weaker case for an emergency than the one he's made, where Congress has deliberated for months about this. Congress has rejected his proposal. Congress has come up with a bipartisan consensus instead on something else. And this, for him, is an emergency. Well, it's a complete end run. It's an attack on the principal power of the Congress, the power of the purse.
Right.
If Republican members won't defend their own institution, what hope is there that they'll defend the judiciary or anything else in our system?
So what makes them fold? Because I see them all the time looking like they're going to be something. That guy Kennedy from Louisiana, John Kennedy, was good for a while. Lindsey Graham was good for a while. Mitt Romney. Richard Burr, who is the counterpart right on the Senate committee.
Yes.
He seemed like a normal guy for a while. This week he said, you know, we've looked at the evidence. We don't see anything that would make us think the president was involved in collusion. I think Trump is a blackmailer. You know, do they have pictures of these guys with a duck or something? What makes these guys wilt like that?
You know, he's still popular in their base, and they're terrified of having a Trumpist primary challenge, and that, I think, cows them into silence. But you're right, it's inexplicable. Why be there? What's the point of being there? Why do you aspire to be a member of Congress if, when the country really needs you, you're missing in action? You know, the statement that some of my colleagues have made, there's no evidence of collusion, for example. You might as well say there's no evidence that the president is dishonest. Hello. Do you hear the words coming out of his mouth? I mean, the evidence is all too plain. You know, everybody's waiting on pins and needles tonight because there may be a document dropping in the Manafort case. Well, if you look at just the Manafort case, here's the campaign chairman meeting with someone believed to be associated with Russian intelligence, offering polling data, and apparently not a top line, here's why we think Donald Trump is going to win, but raw data. Why is that being provided to the Russians? And why are they lying about it? And why is Roger Stone lying about his contacts with the publishing arms of the Russians, or Guccifer II, which is directly the GRU? Why is Flynn lying about his contacts? You know, these and 100 other communications, why all the lies, why all the obstruction?
Why all the Russians? Why is every day I hear Kalimnik and Despravia and Natalia Gavgekska? I never heard these kind of names before. And when you talk about the corruption, that everything that the Trump name is associated with is being investigated. The Trump organization, right? The Trump charity was, the Trump University, the campaign, the inaugural. I mean, I read today in the New York Times that, or I guess it was yesterday, that he went to he asked Whitaker, who was the temp attorney general for a few months, asked him to put somebody who knew was a supporter in charge of the Cohen investigation in New York, in the Southern District. Now, isn't that itself obstruction of justice?
Well, it certainly looks like obstruction to me. I mean, he's trying to handpick someone to put their hand on the scale or protect him. He wants a Roy Cohn in the Southern District of New York. But here's another thing that just to me is so telling about how this president has dumbed down our moral standards. You have two attorney generals, the last two attorney generals, Matt Whitaker, who auditioned for the part by going on cable news and saying, this is how I could privately cripple the Mueller investigation, and then Bill Barr, who basically auditioned the same way. Both of them refused to commit to following the advice of ethics lawyers. Is it so much to ask that the top law enforcement officer of the country would commit to following the advice of ethics lawyers? But apparently that's no longer part of the job requirement. And that is a sad day in America, but it's also part of why they were chosen. Part of why they were chosen. If Bill Barr was going to commit to following the advice of ethics lawyers, he would have never been appointed. And this is where we are. And this, Bill, is why I wrote this letter to my Republican colleagues. You know, every day, bit by bit, drop by drop, we see our democracy evaporating. And you need to look at the cumulative total of all this and how much damage is being done. And I think my colleagues have to ask themselves, why am I here if not to defend this beautiful system we have and speak out and act my conscience and whatever my voters do. I always tell my constituents, the job of a member of Congress is not to get reelected. It's to do the right thing and still find a way to get reelected.
But the problem is, no one who needs to hear this is hearing it. That's the problem. Do you get invited on Fox News?
Yes, I do.
You do?
I do. And I go on Fox from time
Do you go,
to time.
Sean Hannity invite you on?
Oh, he invites me a lot.
You don't go?
I used to go.
You should
I used
go.
To go.
That's who needs to hear your message. I thought you weren't invited.
No, I am invited. I am invited.
Please go. No, seriously.
I thought you liked me.
I do. But I like America, too. You got to get in the bubble, man.
Well,
this bubble's already sewn up. We got these bubbles.
Here's the thing about Fox News. And there are credible journalists, some, on Fox News. But I'm just trying to think of some, but I'm sure there are.
It's not.
There are.
It's not about them. It's about the audience that's listening to it.
No,
At least they would hear the argument.
The challenge that we face, and I think this is the cross-cutting challenge of all, and it's demonstrated by Fox News, is we now get our information from such different places.
Right.
And people live in their information world.
My point.
If there had been a Fox News when Richard Nixon was president, there would have been no premature end of his administration. My favorite my favorite anecdote of Watergate is, because this is so Trumpian, you could imagine Trump doing exactly the same thing. When the tapes were revealed, and the White House didn't want to give out the tapes and didn't want to make them public, didn't want to give them to Congress, they came up with a solution. We'll give them to James O. Eastland, this old Democratic senator, and we'll let him tell the public what's on them. Well, he was notoriously deaf. And you could see Donald Trump saying this, but the difference between then and now is if Donald Trump proposed that today, Fox News would say, that's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea. And people who want to live in that world can live in that world.
You gotta go there, man.
All right, I will go.
Great.
For you.
I appreciate it. Okay. My last question, I always ask myself how the Republicans can abide by the fact that this president, attacking the Democrats, we get that, but he attacks the institutions of government. He attacks the FBI, the CIA, the Justice Department. This is unbelievable to me. And I was trying to think, how could he get away? Why do they put up with this? But then I thought, when a Republican attacks government, that goes back to Reagan. Reagan famously said something like the scariest 9 words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Ha, ha, ha. When you lay that groundwork that the government is evil to begin with, that they can do no right, Yeah. 40 years later, Trump comes along and he says the FBI is crooked, people buy it. You think that's what it is?
You know, I think that what Republicans admired about Reagan was not just his ideology, which was very clear, but the fact that he projected a sense of decency and a sense of optimism. I remember feeling as I watched our president in Helsinki say, I believe this guy, Vladimir Putin, over my own intelligence agencies. I thought to myself, Ronald Reagan once said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party left me. Well, the Republican Party has left Ronald Reagan.
Right.
There's nothing left about him in that party. There's no decency in the leader of their party.
Right.
There's no integrity. There's no optimism in Donald Trump's Republican Party. America is a victim. I just came from Munich where we had this security conference and where the speaker led a delegation to do our part as Article 1 to convince our allies that we value NATO, that we value the European Union, the transatlantic alliance. And, you know, our allies have profound questions about whether they can count on America anymore. That's the legacy of this president. That was not Ronald Reagan's legacy.
All right. Congressman Adam Schiff. Look for him on Fox News, everybody. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.